melts it, seals it, cuts it, and you're done. Hey all my friends out there, I wanted to share with you how I cut synthetic fabric. I wanted a way to cut the fabric so that there are no frayed edges. So I just got done remaking all of our boat cushions. What I used is a acrylic fabric. Has a really soft feel to it, really nice. I haven't tried this technique on heavier fabrics. This is about 7.9 ounces. So what I'm using is a butane soldering iron. There's no cords or anything. It uses refillable butane. This brand is one I got on Amazon. It's a Lexavon, and I've used it for soldering wires on the boat. And I was looking around for something to cut fabric. I thought, well, why not give this a try? Now you can buy a hot knife. The one I saw runs about $250. This is $40. They're refillable, no cords attached. So I thought this was a really good idea to try. And it comes with other tips related to soldering and heating and doing shrink tubing. So if you cut a synthetic fabric like this, just with scissors, you end up having a lot of frayed edges that just pull apart like that. So over time, that can really mess up your fabric. Okay, let's talk about the surface that you're cutting on. This is a piece of tempered glass. You want something that won't burn. A good hard surface, like metal or glass, is great. But you could use something like a straight edge like this, a metal straight edge. Cut right on top of that. That would be enough to protect the surface. So this soldering torch comes with a tip like this. It comes with a blade, and that blade isn't really sharp. It comes to a point. So you're gonna have to put that through there, screw that on. And what I like to do is I like to place that blade opposite the lighter until I get that where I want it. So when I'm pushing through, all that is facing down. This also has a lock button on it, which I'll use to keep the flame on. Now it takes at least a minute for the blade to get hot enough to cut the acrylic that I have. So I'm gonna light it. You have to swing that safety up. So I can see a little bit of red hot there. I'm gonna put on the lock. Then I can release that and let it heat up until it's hot enough to melt this. Again, I haven't tried this with a heavier fabric. It worked well for the 7.9 ounce, and I'm assuming it would work well for a little bit heavier fabric. You'd have to go a little slower. And make sure that your fabric is a synthetic fabric. I would doubt that would work if you have some cotton in it or some wool or something else. So you can keep testing it. And that's not hot enough to cut it yet, so we're going to wait a minute. You can see it getting hot in there, and that's the spot where it blows out and feels really hot, like if your hand's around it. So just keep your hands clear. You can pull it so the tip comes through, or you can push it. And most of what I did, I would put the heel in of the blade. It's almost hot enough. And I would push it through and then keep my hand behind it. I have my pencil line marked out here. Just gonna get started and push through. Be careful where you put the tip, because it will burn other things if you have something you're not intending to heat up. Melt it, seals it, cuts it, and you're done. Like I said, you can try to pull it through with the point. But when you do that, your hand's around, I find I have to hold that, and then my hand's around that hole where it's blowing out the hot air. Just adjust the speed that you're going according to how hot the tip is, how thick the fabric is, and how well that's cutting. And when you're done, you release the lock. That shuts it off, and you let it cool down. Now what I did on my cushions, when you do the zippers, well, you cut it and then you fold it back. And at first I didn't seal that. On the later ones that I did, I actually cut that back and then I sealed it. So I'm going to show you how you can seal the cut edges too. So if you pretend this is sewn back and your zipper is going to go in there, So to seal that, you take the cutting tip off, light it, put the lock on, and then you can very carefully keep it moving and just hit that edge a little bit until that melts back a tiny bit and it gets the cut edges. And then you can flip it over if you need to and do the other edge. You want to keep it moving, don't want to burn the fabric, and that can seal the edge that you cut. Make sure you follow all of the manufacturer instructions and recommendations and cautions when you're using this. You can get burned on this. This gets almost red hot. So to refill it, we're going to take the tip on here and just push it into that. It's pressurized, and you just press it. Try not to breathe it. I don't know what happens if you breathe it. And you'll see it start to blow out the back, and that's when you know it's full. Wipe off any excess. Gonna make sure this is far enough away. Okay, I hope that was helpful for you and a good technique. I liked using that rather than spending $250 on a hot knife. I used some scrap glass that I had and a propane torch, and I can use the torch for other things. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.